Um, let's go straight to the fat. We know we want it, don't we? Did we have it with the fat? Yeah, it's coming around still.
Is that a tablespoon?
It's about a tablespoon, yeah. Yeah. Again, all these things you can play with. I think you missed the first part, sir, but I just want to give you permission to experiment and change it up. Like, you don't have to follow it to the T. It's just like a guideline, and then you can throw your own ingredients. Cinnamon is really good, too. I love cinnamon. Let's do maple syrup this time. Uh-oh, another impenetrable. Sometimes I wonder if the people who design this stuff have ever actually used their thing. Because you're like, why would you design it in this way that you can't use it? Anyway, sorry.
Are you familiar with vacuum blenders?
With what?
Vacuum blenders.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Vacuum blender?
It takes out the oxygen when you blend it.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Yeah, oxygen will,
Because it so it doesn't destroy the nutrients.
Okay, let's do about, not much, I'd say 2 teaspoons. Let's see how that goes. Okay. Oh yeah, we add a little ganja smoke in there, blowing in from behind. That would make it really special. Yeah, this is not weed coconut butter, but that wouldn't be a bad thing. Okay. So we got the sweet, right? We got the salt. Those 2 things and the fats. Those are the essential. And then vanilla. And sometimes we may check it and be like, oh, I need a little bit more sweet or salt. How'd the second one go? Better, right? Fat makes all the difference. And by the way, you guys all know that eating fat doesn't make you fat, right?
Yes.
Okay, don't listen to whoever comes out with those guidelines that poison us. Healthy fats, right, not trans fats. So I worked as I mentioned this before, I worked as a firefighter and paramedic for about 20 years. And I had a lot of experience with people having heart attacks and strokes and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to try this one. It needs a little something. More sweet, I think. And so, basically, as a paramedic, you come in, someone's having a heart attack, and they're like, "Save me!" And you're like, "Okay, I can give you some drugs that will, quote unquote, save you temporarily, but maybe you should have been paying attention to how you eat for the past 40 years." And what I found out was that I think going into food, I can have more effect on people's health than at the end when they're about to die and they want help. It's kind of too late at that point, you know? If you've been eating junk food your whole life and not taking care of your temple, your vessel, right, then you're going to get all these complications involved with that. So I find this way, I always want to help people, and I find this to be a more effective way in helping people, getting them before they're at that point where it's too late. You know, where you can save them for a couple hours and get them to the hospital and then they die. What's the point of that? Right? Okay, let's see how this one goes. Better. I think it needs a little more fat too, so let's go with another tablespoon of coconut oil. Do you guys know who Dave Asprey is? Bulletproof coffee guy? Does anyone know about Bulletproof coffee? Yeah, it's a really good way to drink your coffee with fats. Again, the right healthy fats.
What is it exactly? What is it exactly, the bulletproof?
Bulletproof coffee is basically coffee, and then you add a medium chain triglycerides. It's a type of coconut. It's called MCT oil. It's a coconut fat. and you can add either ghee or butter, grass-fed butter. And the fats, for me, like when I drink coffee regularly, just regular coffee, it kind of gives me a little bit of stomach issue. But when I drink it that way, it kind of smooths it out. Plus, you get those fats, which are really good for your brain. So, like in the morning when you wake up and you're kind of like, oh, you drink that Bulletproof, it gives you a little bit of caffeine that makes it more digestible. It's really nice. And it makes the polyphenols more available, which are super beneficial to our body on all kinds of levels. Okay.
This is delicious. Which one?
Let's see what this one tastes like.
Cashew.
So you got to experiment a little bit. Did we all get the second one with the fats?
No.
What do we think? Better than the first one? Yeah. Just that richness. Okay. That's what we needed. More fat, more sugar. Let's send this one out. Do we have another Vitamix guy coming out? It's back there? Okay, so we get the next one coming. Let's see if there's anything I needed to share in my notes. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so tonight, look for the totem. Did we? Okay, cool. And what else do we want to know? Kiss the ground, 5 o'clock, really good. Treat your body like it houses God, and then that's what you'll get. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so we'll do another macadamia one. Actually, I made the macadamia with everything. So why don't we just do a secret ingredient one? Coconut. Okay. Coconut. Super delicious, super nutritious, very healthy, very hard to get into, right?
No.
I'll show you a good way to do that. So you just cut away the husk. I mean, people like whack it with an axe and all that stuff. That's just another way to do it, but it's a little bit dangerous. We've seen that before, right? This way works with these softer ones, although this one doesn't feel very soft. Basically get the pointy end of the knife, and I like to put it up against like where the wall is on the countertop. I don't have that available here, but you get a really sharp, sturdy knife, and you just crack it in, and then you pop it. And it didn't work, of course. These are harder than they're supposed to be, but okay. So you go like that, and it opens really well. Voila. That's my favorite way to open coconuts. I lived in Costa Rica for a time. That was amazing, and I would eat fresh coconut like all the time. And go surfing. It was like heaven on earth. Treat my body like a temple, and that's what I got. Okay, so this isn't going to be enough coconut to completely replace the water, so I'm going to add these 2 coconuts, and then I'll add some water, and then we'll go with cashew.
No, I think this one's
Woo. Pretty easy, actually. You guys had coconut issues before? Trying to open them? Most people don't do it because they're like, it's so hard to get into them. I get it. Okay. So we didn't get much out of there. I'm going to use a blend, I think, this time. You guys want to try a blend? All right. Let's do a blend. So basically half cashew and half macadamia nut. Throw it in with the coconut. Boom, we add the water. Which one's been our favorite one so far? The first one, the second one, or the third?
Second.
The third?
Second.
Second? Yeah. It's like a little more rich and full, right? Yeah. That's what's up.
Let's actually put dates on it, right?
I usually let that thing run for about a minute. I think the dates for me too are even better than the maple syrup, I would have to say. Uh-oh, there's a run on cups. Okay, about that much. We know we're gonna want the fat, so there's no reason to leave it out. I just did it that one time to show you guys. Boom. And we're gonna go with dates this time. Well, actually, you know what? We may not need that because we're using the coconut, so it's already sweetened. Madagascar and vanilla. And voila. You know, that thing I was talking about too, about treating the planet right and stuff. So there's a handful of corporations now that are starting to take care of the environment and be mindful of their impact. Like Patagonia is now going into food. Also, you have Thrive Marketplace. So these companies are a good way for you. If you want to support the environment, you can start looking for companies that are in alignment with those values and support them. And then the part of their business model is to make a business that actually takes into account these things called externalities. Who knows what externalities are? Anyone? Externalities are what the business world calls the environment. Basically, they would do these certain practices that don't take care of our environment, and they would say, oh, we don't have to account for the cost of climate change because that's an externality. Oh, this one's good. We don't have to account for certain things like plastic pollution because it goes away and we don't have to worry about it. But now we're starting to see that those things do actually have an impact, and they're starting to impact all of us. So if we are more mindful about where we shop, we're in the process of changing our packaging to a compostable package. It's made of cassava. So it's plant-based, and you throw it in the ground and it breaks down into plant stuff. It's not like crazy hydrocarbons that poison and kill our environment. So we like that. All right, I'm gonna send this one around. This is the coconut oil one. The coconut water. Thank you. Cassava. Yeah, for the plant-based packaging.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's more expensive, but it's like, when you think about it, it's not more expensive because you're accounting for those externalities. And that's the thing with starting this nut company. People go like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting into it? Actually, my friend and my partner, Brian, he was been working in the food industry, and I was making these nuts for friends and family for a while. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about going into business, and could you help me out? Or what? He goes, well, whenever someone comes to talk to me and they have a food product and they say, I want to go into the food business, the first thing I try to do is talk them out of it because it's such a long, hard road to get there. But he didn't. So here I am still doing it, and it has been a long, hard road. But, you have to think of all those externalities and how they impact the earth. So right now we're small, but our intention is to move into only nuts that are produced regeneratively, and then move into the fully compostable packaging. And then eventually we want to be completely fossil fuel free. So how do we do that? Because, cashews and macadamia nuts, they come from all over the world, mostly Asia or Africa. They're tropical. But I think eventually we'll get there. You know, Elon Musk is coming out with the electric-powered tractor trailer. There's actually a possibility of having your goods delivered via sail ship, like like old days with the clipper and all that. So if you can get the fossil fuels off of your food, I think that's a really positive step in the right direction. Whenever we get another picture, I can start whipping up a new one. Did we get the most recent one, the coconut water one? Who had that one? What do you guys think? Too sweet?
Very good.
Very good?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see there's like all these different variations that you can make and change and add and take away. And like I said, give yourself permission, because whose vessel is it? Whose vessel is it? All right. And what do we want to treat it like? A temple, right? Treat it like a temple, and that's what we get back. It's a feedback loop. We got the second one. I think it went back there. Maybe someone's washing it off. And probably a moop bin would be good. You guys know what moop is? Anyone ever been to Burning Man?
Matter out of
All right,
place.
moop is matter out of place, because if we think of it, there's really nothing. Like, you think you're gonna throw something away. Thank you. There is no away, right? It's not going off the planet. It's staying here somewhere. So you gotta be mindful of that and think of things on that level. And one thing that Burning Man helps you do, since you have to pack it in, pack it out, take all your trash with you, is think about what's away. Like, really, what does that mean? So I'm going to try the nut blend again, but this time we're not going to use the coconut. We're just going to use those are some of the nuts we make with love and attention. Okay. So yeah, I never got to this. When I started the company, I looked into this. There's this guy called Simon Sinek. Have you guys heard of him? He has a TED Talk. He wrote a book, and he talks about why and the importance of why, and how why is linked to our limbic brain, and that's where we make all our decisions. And it's based on emotional response. So when we look at our why for Rich Nuts, I was like, because we want to save the planet and we want to make business and steps in the right direction. And it's like, well, what's underneath that? So this is going to be the nut blend without the coconut water. So what's underneath the why? And for me, I was really thinking about it. And what's important to me is that we create. Wait a minute. How did I say this properly? Because we believe that this generation of children and the following generations of children deserve a better earth, a greener earth, a more just earth. So we stand in solidarity with the change makers, the disruptors, and all those wild people that are actually doing it, and we want to be a part of that change. So that's what it's really about, right? Leaving the planet better off than when we got it. And I know most of you guys that are here are millennials, and you're inheriting this earth that's kind of trash, overall. And if you're looking to the baby boomers to help you, they obviously are the ones that did, I don't want to say intentionally, but, unintentionally didn't think that it was really making an impact. I mean, obviously the verdict is out on that now. But I think it's time for us to make that change and to be a part of that change instead of just continuing with the status quo. Okay, so this one is the nut blend. So coconut and cashew and macadamia nut, vanilla, and our fat, which we know is essential. Boom. And I like the dates. Who liked dates? Maple syrup or dates?
Dates.
Dates, okay. Dates! Both. Well, we don't want to feed our candida too much. then they'll overgrow.
Have
So
you-
yeah, another thing that I was going to mention too is that is our plastic impact. You guys know about the gyres in the ocean that are filled with plastic? Yeah. So there's a who's ever been to a tropical beach? Isolated tropical beach anywhere? Asia? Did you find any plastic on the beach there? Anyone? I went to this place in Thailand. I was scuba diving, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have lunch on this little tiny island afterwards." So we pull up on the boat, and we go to the lunch spot, and there's freaking plastic all over the beach. And I'm like, "What the hell?" And it's just washing in from the ocean. I've had that experience where you're like way out in the middle of nowhere, and then there's beaches covered in plastic. Don't want to forget the salt. So like that's a major problem because the fish are eating that, and then we eat the fish, and guess what happens? We're eating plastic, which is a known carcinogen. So it's important for us to take a step in that. And there's some friends of mine. They run this nonprofit. Can you hear me when this is on? Okay, they run this nonprofit called Five Gyres. And they had this thing going on called the Plastic Pledge. And you can take the Plastic Pledge and you basically commit to not using straws or disposable plastic cups or plastic bags. And it's really not that hard to just not use a straw. Like, we've evolved for millennia without a straw. I mean, and the plastic water bottles, like you can get yourself one of these and it lasts forever and then you can refill it. And then you can be here now. Just things to be mindful of. And they're actually, with the cassava, sometimes it'll, with the cassava, they're making bags that look like plastic bags, but they're not. Okay, let's see what this one comes out like. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Thank you. That one's really tasty. It's the dates. I think you're right. Ah, thanks. Here we go. Boom. Now we're like a well-oiled machine. We're hitting our stride. Okay. Now I'm going to do the interactive part. So, let's get a show of hands. Who wants to use cashews on this part, on this one? Cashews? Or there's going to be cashews or macadamia, so you can vote for one. Cashews? Okay, macadamias?
Yes.
Okay, macadamias have it. I'm gonna just give you a little example of how we can share this experience. Okay. Now, water, we don't really have a choice on that part. We're gonna use water. Does everyone say yes? Okay, yeah, I'll speak about that some more. So I touched on this earlier, but I know a lot of people have filled in. Let's get a show of hands. Who knows about sprouting? Sprouting? Only a couple people. Okay, cool. Okay, so I like to break it down basically like this. Nuts and seeds have evolved over time to survive the digestive tract. And the reason they've done that is so they can spread their progeny. You know, the nuts and seeds are the plant's babies. They want them to spread around as far as they can because the animals can't walk, right? I mean, the plants can't walk. So how do they do that? They have animals eat them. The animals cruise around eating whatever, and then they go to the bathroom. And some of the nuts and seeds are still like whole, and they make it into the excrement. And then when it rains, they get a signal, hey, it's time to grow. So then they grow into plants. Now,